It's desperately sad and worrying, and listening to the representatives there of the family, really everything else just gets set aside, doesn't it? And my thoughts really are with the family now, who are going through this desperately traumatic and difficult time. And again, thanks to all of the community and the volunteers and the Coast Guard and the Slaney Search and Rescue, who are doing such great work to support the family, but really nothing else matters this morning, does it?
Okay, and Minister, I'm glad you made that comment, because it's very important that we adhere to what we've heard from An Garda Síochána, what we are going to hear from Slaney Search and Rescue. We've heard from requests from the family members as well. Help is needed, but there are rules you have to follow. And also, I'm glad you acknowledged the work of Slaney Search and Rescue and the Coast Guard and the RNLI, etc. They've been out working long hours. I mean, this one of these incidents started very early on Sunday morning, so I think it's only fair to acknowledge them. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the professionalism that everybody brings to that, whether they're the Coast Guard, whether they're volunteers, and, you know, I know the whole community is behind this search and behind this family. But again, as you say, to follow the rules is that they are there for everybody's safety, and they are there to try to get every best possible outcome, but for safety of everybody as well. So this is just a moment where the community needs to rally around each other and with each other and for the family, as they are so clearly doing.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that with us. But now let's get on to the main reason you and I are speaking, to discuss the first of the bonus social welfare payments. You're going to give us some insight into what is coming up over the next few days. So can you tell us about the different social welfare payments that are going to be paid, some of them this week as early as Friday, is it?
That's right. It starts this week, a series of payments to help people meet the cost of living issues that are there. So you'll see initially the double payment for anybody with carers, pensioners, people with disabilities. You'll see a double payment this week. That'll go to 1.4 million people. Then on the 5th of November, any parent will see a double child benefit payment. So that's going to impact nearly 700,000 families for 1.2 million children. So everyone will get €280 per child on the 5th of November. So that's an enormous support. And of course, that they are just the first of two such double payments for pension and for child benefit, the next coming at the beginning of December. But it's also really important, while those are, broad, nearly universal payments, we have very targeted supports as well for people over November. So there will be, if you are on the fuel allowance, for example, there's a lump sum of €300. If you're on the living alone allowance, there's a lump sum of €200 and €400 lump sum payments to anybody on carer support grants, disability, blind or invalidity pension. So they are important supports over the next couple of weeks, and it's important that we've been able to provide those supports. But people should expect to see them in their bank account, or as they normally get their supports, over the next number of weeks.
How do people know if they're entitled to these payments, and where can they find more information?
Well, you can find information through your public representatives. I know Brian Brennan, Bríd Murphy and Cathal Byrne. I was out knocking on doors with them this weekend in Wexford and in Wicklow, Wexford. They will all have the information, but also it's available on the social welfare website. But, if you are already in receipt of one of those payments, you should expect to see this automatically as you normally get it. So it's really, people should be able to plan for this and know that in addition then, the other piece is the energy support credit. So that's going to be €250, half before Christmas and half after, and the first such credit will apply to your bills on the 1st of November.
Some of the criticisms that have come in, Minister, and you've possibly seen them yourself, I have to go through a detailed email I received from the National Offices of St Vincent de Paul, and some of the criticisms I'm reading is that this is a temporary fix to a permanent problem for many people, and it simply does not go far enough. What's your response to that?
Well, we have tried to target our supports to people who need it most. I know in my own constituency there are many older people, for example, who might be living in houses that they've lived all their lives but finding it hard to heat them and to fuel them. Living alone allowance is there for them. Fuel allowance is there for many of them. We have targeted targeted pension supports coming in, which is a permanent increase from January. So this is coming up to Christmas, but those pension increases will take effect, of course, from January. So we're trying to do the best that we can to meet the needs of the broadest range of people, but provide extra supports to people whom we think need it most. And I think, as I go around my own constituency, as I go around the country, I meet many, many families who might have two incomes, but are finding it very hard to get to the end of the month with the cost of childcare, with the cost of heating, with the cost of increased prices. And just because they have two incomes doesn't mean that they're any less in need of child benefit support or energy credits. And the more I go around, the more I hear that those supports really make a difference, just a little boost as they need it, particularly coming up to Christmas. But all of our tax cuts are targeted at working families. All of our supports are targeted at working families, people who are out working and need it most, in addition to more targeted supports for more vulnerable groups such as carers and people on disability or invalidity. So that's our approach.
Okay, the other criticism of it is there's been a good bit of back. I'm only reflecting to you what I get on this programme, and very important now that I have you.
It's important to do, though, yeah.
Okay, well, a bit of backlash, in fact, a lot of backlash, that some of these payments are not being means tested, meaning that people who may not necessarily need the payments are getting them, and other people might need an awful lot more.
And, these are the tensions all the time of trying to manage a budget and manage an economy. We're trying to do the best that we can for the biggest amount of people, but also recognising that some people need more support, and that's why we have extra supports for older people living alone. That's why we have extra support for carers, for people on disability. So, these are really important, criticisms and reflections, because it's important that we talk about how taxpayers' money is used to support our community. This is the essence of political debate. But in Fine Gael, we are trying to support the broadest number of people, recognising that there will be working families who are under particular pressures that other people might not see. And so we've been trying to reduce costs for those families as well by bringing down the cost of childcare, by taking away costs for schools, like getting rid of the cost of school books, for example, bringing hot meals into schools, reducing the cost of public transport. We are trying to make Ireland an easier, cheaper place to live by reducing structural costs and targeting the resources that we do have at working families who are earning less than €50,000. Fine Gael would like to to take everybody who is working out of that top rate of tax until they hit €50,000. We have managed to bring it up from €36,000 to €44,000 before you hit the top rate of tax. The impact of that is it takes 250,000 people out of the top rate of tax. And these are big, important supports for families that are working all of the time and trying to make ends meet, particularly at that most expensive time of life, working with young children in particular. And it's a big focus for us, as well as supporting people who have worked all of their lives and now need a little extra help to get through the winter so that they can comfortably leave the heat on that little bit longer if that's what they choose to do.
Okay, I have to wrap it up. Just for those who want to benefit from this and may not be aware that they could be entitled to some of it, just remind them again where they go, please.
They can go to the social welfare website, so that's DSP Budget 2025, gov.ie, DSP Budget 2025, or indeed speak to any of the people working with Fine Gael there in the community, Brian Brennan, Bridie Murphy or Cathal Byrne in the Wicklow, Wexford and Wexford constituencies, and they'd be delighted to help you out with it. I know, for example, Brian has had it on his Facebook page today.
Okay, all right. You got the plugs in there. You wouldn't believe that there's an election coming, but just a matter there in relation to the electricity. Can you just clarify what's available to people? Julia's just messaged in how much are we getting for electricity. Can you remind us on that, please?
It's €250 in total, divided into two payments of 125 each, one before Christmas, one after, and they'll be attached to your energy bills as we experienced before, like last year as well. From the 1st of November is when the first one will issue. So people should expect that over that winter period.
Good morning to you. That was Minister of State Jennifer Carroll MacNeill there, outlining what's coming up with the first of the bonus payments when it comes to social welfare. Hopefully that sheds some further light on it. Shedding some further light is what we need to